So, have you ever wondered what it'd be like to just chop your arm off and then just stick a new arm and watch it grow back? Because I haven't. Anyway, I'm sure most of you haven't either, but it's really cool because plants do something really similar. And that process is called grafting. So grafting is a process by which we take two different plant parts and basically grow them together, and they're often two different species or two different kinds of plants. So have you ever seen like an orange tree with lemons on it, or an apple tree with pears on it? It's really cool. And to be honest, my major was kind of boring until I found out about this process last quarter. But anyway, getting down to it, today I'll tell you exactly what grafting is, why we do it, and I'll show you kind of how to do a cleft graft real quick. Anyway, so one of the main things about what grafting is according to Penn State professor Robert Kraftwaller, it's a means of bypassing seed genetic variation. So when you have a seed, it's the genetic combination of two different trees, and so it's not going to be just like the parent tree. So if you have a really tasty pear tree and you want to plant a seed, well, the plant that grows from that seed is going to be different than its parent, so it won't taste the same. So most fruit trees you eat will actually be produced via this method. Anyway, so other reasons as to why we do this. So one of the main reasons is it helps bring trees into production much faster. So it can take a tree about 1 to 2 years to get just this high, or to this stage of development. By taking these two plant parts and planting them this way, you save about 1 to 2 years of production time. They can start bearing fruit around 5 years of age. Since you're using a different rootstock, which is a different root piece, which I have here, and different scion, which will usually produce the fruit, if the fruit type that you're using isn't compatible with the soil in your area, you can use a root that is compatible and then combine the two so that you can grow it in your area. And then one of the biggest things about rootstock is it often works to fight diseases that plants are super susceptible to. So black walnut is a really popular kind of rootstock because it's resistant to a lot of diseases. So most of the ones we actually have in the orchard at the school are grown on black walnut. One of the risks, however, with disease prevention and using two different plant parts is the transmission of diseases via one of the plant parts. So one of the most important things to remember when you're trying to graft a tree is that you want to use plant parts that you know are clean. Say that the rootstock has a disease in it, that doesn't really affect it, so you wouldn't really know, but it can be super damaging to the fruit that you're trying to grow. And so when you put the two together, while the root will remain unaffected, the fruit itself will not be able to be produced because it's attacked by the disease that was inside the rootstock initially. Now that we've covered some of the main reasons why, I'll show you exactly how. But first, a little bit of biology. So to do a super simplified version, you can think of a tree kind of like this. You got one circle, two circles. And so this outside line, we all know, is the bark. And then here we have the sapwood, and all of this is called the heartwood. Now the heartwood is all dead. This is where all the water flows through. All the tissues, basically, all the cells die out and form hollow tubes like straws, and that's just where the water moves through. The sapwood is the important part. That's what we're trying to get to graft together. The sapwood is what transports the sap between the roots and the rest of the tree, because the roots need sap to get the energy because of the sugar that's in the sap. And so what we're going to do is, when we take the rootstock, it's going to be a bit larger. All we want to line up is this part right here. And so, let's get right down to it. I'll show you exactly what I mean. So first, we're going to take this part. This is the scion that we're going to use. It's actually an oak variety. And we're going to use scion. You only want to use 3 buds because of the chemicals that are produced in the top. They move their way down and can inhibit growth. And so when you do this, it helps these buds grow out faster into branches. And so, as noted by Todd Weinberg at North Dakota State University, the scion must always be smaller than the rootstock, otherwise it will be unbalanced and will cause the tree to develop improperly. And so, once you have your scion prepared, you slice off the bottom bud, and then you kind of make a wedge. And once the wedge is complete, you take the rootstock and you make one cut straight down the middle, about an inch or two deep. And then once you take this out, you kind of wedge your knife right in there, slide the two apart, and then slowly bring the wedge into the graft union and line it up flush with the rootstock. And while it's smaller here than here, the two sapwood components will line up together and will fuse together to form one vessel to transport sap up and down the tree. And so, now that you've had a little basic demonstration, perhaps you can try at home to kind of graft some of your fruit trees together and see what kind of combinations you can